It's day one of the conference, and already we're hearing of a single digital identity or some sort of a centralized system to bring us on par with the rest of the world. Just share with us what else has come out of the conference thus far.
Well, a very good afternoon to you, Nomfundo. And yes, we've got one of the biggest conferences looking at technology, looking at digital, happening here at the Durban ICC. And this morning we heard South Africa needs to be under one umbrella. We need to move in the right direction. We are on the right path. We've seen several of our ministers there speaking about what needs to be done in various sectors, including mining as well, digitizing the way government does things, bringing services to basic service delivery to the community so that they can also move with the times. But to speak to more of this, I am joined by the Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Nzimande. Thank you so much for joining us, Minister. You know, you spoke about digitalization and the importance of us to move away from what the rest of the world is doing and try and find our own identity.
Yes, of course. But first I must say cooperation is inevitable and it's important. But in cooperating, whether internally as government, with business and other stakeholders, whether it's international cooperation, it's important that we also develop our own technologies. That is very important. In other words, which means we must invest in research and development as well as innovation, because that has got a number of advantages. Otherwise, if we keep on importing technologies, we are depriving our own innovators here of a chance to do local, and local technologies will be cheaper as well than important technologies, so that we develop our own identity as South Africa. Even the technologies we may import, we must adapt it to our own conditions so that we secure what we call digital sovereignty. In other words, we've got our own digital systems that we control, that actually respond to our needs, because that is also a very important part of our national sovereignty as a country. Without that, we are not going to make the kind of progress that we should actually be making, because also we don't want to just be consumers of knowledge from other people. We also want to be producers of knowledge that also other people can be able to use. For me, this is the significance of this. We want to modernize government through digitization, but we mustn't forget this. Development of local technology, investing in innovation for products that can also be produced here so that we are able to secure our own digital technology.
And you know, Minister, we've got some of the greatest minds here under one umbrella that's going to be speaking to what government can utilize, what government can do. We've got the private sector and the public sector coming together to try and find different ways to try and enhance what we already have. You speak about not importing other technologies from other countries, but the importance of also harnessing our craft. Some of the greatest minds, SMEs also jumping on board, businesses, the importance and the collaboration between the private sector and the public sector.
It's very important that there is partnership between the public sector and the private sector in South Africa for a number of reasons. Firstly, there are very good private sector companies that are investing in new technologies. So if there is a partnership with government, we can be able to benefit from that. But also it's very important that we use that partnership with the private sector also to build government's own capacity and not be perpetually dependent, but we are able to work together to produce technology that is going to be very important for South Africa itself. So that partnership is very important. Unfortunately, it's not as strong as it should be. And also I want to say that private sector investment into research and development has gone down from about in total, our investment as a percentage of GDP. Before COVID, it was at 0.79%. We are now at 0.61%. And the biggest decline has been with the private sector. That is why some of the things we are looking at is what kind of new incentives can we have so that there is more investment into research and development by the private sector. I have already asked my department just to do an in-depth, which sectors of the private sector are investing less, which ones are investing more, so that we've got a much better picture, and how then we can be able also to forge a partnership.
Minister, before I let you go, you made a joke earlier on saying that AI, you're not too sure about jumping behind a car that's going to be driven without a driver. What do you want to see come out of this conference that speaks to technology and enhancing technology in the country?
Well, I was just making an example, maybe a little bit naughty, about whether we can have self-driving cars in South Africa, given the challenges that we have of road crashes, poor respect for the laws and the rules of the road and so on. Maybe AI and self-driving vehicles will push us towards sorting all these other problems that we actually have. So technology is going to be important. We can't run away from it by perpetually saying we are not ready. It will force us to be ready. We have to be ready. The world is moving in that way, towards self-driving cars, towards electric vehicles and so on. As a country, we have to be ready for that.
It's always a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much for your time. Well, it's going to be a very interesting conference, that's for sure, Nomfundo. Just as we unpack what's going to transpire this week, what topics they're going to tackle. You heard the minister saying the AI as well, very important in moving the country forward in terms of technology.